What's up? It's not New Music Friday because I'm recording this on a Monday and we're talking about records that some of them that didn't even come out this past Friday. But, I've just been busy the last several weeks, just got different stuff going on. I talked about going to Field of Vision in Colorado, different stuff. So, anyway, I figured I would just tell you about some of the records I've been listening to recently. And the first one I'm going to talk about is Bammo, HYPERYOUTH by Joey Valence and Brae. That's what the album artwork looks like. So, if you're not familiar with Joey Valence and Brae, they're a hip-hop duo heavily inspired by 90s, 2000s, hip-hop, pop, electronic music, all that good stuff. Joey Valence is the one, a part of the group who also does a lot of the production, and he took a lot of inspiration from a very specific time in the late 2000s, early 2010s for this new album called HYPERYOUTH. And so the album really kind of goes in on what it's like getting older, kind of losing some of your childhood in the process, but maybe you don't have to. Maybe you can still have this childlike wonder and want to play and want to do all these other things. But like I said, it also talks about getting older and what that's like. Anyway, these guys really put a phenomenal record together. The features are fantastic. They encapsulate the whole message with these little bites, these little segues from the voice actor who played BMO on Adventure Time, which is very cute. It's very sweet. So anyway, great record. I've listened to it a ton over the last couple weeks, and if you haven't checked it out yet, it's definitely worth a shot, I think. Another album that I have been listening to that I just completely love all the way through, it's Nourished by Time with The Passionate Ones. Nourished by Time, at this point, in my opinion, is 3 for 3. All hits, all home runs, count them up. A couple of years ago, released the album Erotic Probiotic 2. Funny title. Great album, super, super fun. Then last year, released the Catching Chickens EP, and then, of course, now we have The Passionate Ones. All three of those projects, slam dunks, goals, scores, they're all good. Anyway, so if you're unfamiliar with Nourished by Time, the artist takes a lot of inspiration from like 80s and 90s R&B pop music, but also I think Nourished by Time also takes inspiration from a lot of different places and mashes these things together, and has such a lovely voice. It's it's honestly like taking all this inspiration and taking all this stuff in and creating this music. It really comes out in such a unique way, and so it's hard to be like, oh well, Nourished by Time is just an R&B artist. Well, not really, right? They do a lot of really cool stuff, and I think this is one of those albums that you might just have to hear to understand like what I'm talking about, because it kind of defies genre. It kind of exists in its own lane, and it's really unique and it's really cool. And like I said, it's also a goal, home run, score. Good job. Coming up next is the album The Sound a Body Makes When It's Still by Hot Mulligan. And if I messed up that title, it's not my fault. Y'all are just too silly with it. These Hot Mulligan guys, have you seen the track titles, the song titles? They're too silly, and I cannot be held at fault. So anyway, these guys are making Midwest emo, really high energy, really fun stuff, really emotional. They're putting their whole heart into this stuff, and it sounds great. They're doing a great job. And this is a record that, even though it just came out on Friday, I've already listened to it several times over the weekend, running around, driving, at the gym. It's really fun. It's really good. And honestly, we need more dudes holding up the torch for Midwest emo. I know we're in like the new fifth or sixth wave of Midwest emo at this point, but you know what? We can't get enough. Start a Midwest emo band. Let's go. Even more, I think. What could be so bad about that? God Does Like Ugly by JID. And you know what? I agree. Got no other input on that. But what I will say about the album is that I think JID did a great job putting this record together. I know some people online have commented that it doesn't have a clear message. It's not concise. Well, gee, maybe not every record has to have like a crazy storyline. It's not as if every single album is a concept, or that has some sort of grand story behind it. Even though I think that this record actually does have a lot to say, and for all the outlets out there who kind of panned this album, were you really listening? Did you really listen to it, or did you just want some sort of addition onto the Forever Story, Never Story saga? I don't know. But anyway, I think God Does Like Ugly is great. The production on here is awesome. I think, of course, JID is known for these just like super lyrical bars, even though that's not even the music he likes to listen to. And that's fascinating to me that he just writes these eloquent, beautiful lines, and he's like, yeah, I don't even like this stuff. I don't even like the guys who do it. You know what? Good job, JID. That's all I got to say. Thanks, also. And I agree, God Does Like Ugly. All right, I said it. Last record I will talk about is Dollar a Day by Charley Crockett. You know what? Another fantastic album from Charley. He just does not miss. He does not miss. He's one of the hardest working musicians in like the current music scene, especially the country scene. And you know what? Every single album he does is more licks carved off the bone. He's carving licks straight off the bone, and they sound fantastic. So if you like country music, or moreover, if you like Americana, roots, that sort of stuff, maybe you'll dig Charley Crockett. You probably already listened to him, but if you're somebody who's like, oh, I only listen to pop country, well, then maybe give Charley a chance, because he's doing stuff that I think is more captivating and more thought-provoking than a lot of the stuff that you'll hear on modern country radio. And he's got a great voice. He works with a lot of really cool people to make these songs come together. And you know what? At the end of the day, at least he's not Morgan Wallen. So, thanks so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you later. We'll talk about more music one of these days. Maybe we'll even have a new Music Friday again. Maybe not. Could be fun. I don't know. See you later. Bye-bye.